Hey everybody, can you all hear me okay? I'm in a little bit of a different location today. Uh, my computer that I normally do a lot of my editing on is kind of dead. And so um, kind of that's been part of the hiatus here. So I apologize again for the bad video quality. That's getting fixed actually here tomorrow. So we'll have some videos coming out tomorrow and everything. Can you all hear me okay? Am I loud enough? Let me know in the chat if I'm loud enough or not. Oh, and of course, there's Daniel already trolling. They're going to merge Elaine and Min. I wouldn't be shocked if they did, but I don't think that's going to be what happens. Hey, if you are joining us, if you don't mind hitting the like button, guys, it really helps YouTube promote the video. So I've got a couple things I want to talk about today, and then we can kind of get into some discussion. I wanted to talk, I normally do kind of like a 2020 vision casting with my business with some other things. And so I figured we could do a little bit of that. I wanted to kind of lay out what the future is going to look like here on the channel over the next year, kind of some things that I have on the horizon that I'd like to do. Get some of your feedback on some things that I've done. And then we can talk a little bit about Wheel of Time, obviously. Hey, real quick, guys, I'm going to keep repeating this throughout, but a lot of you guys are aware of the wildfires that are going on in Australia right now. I don't know that the news is doing an adequate job of showing how bad that is. I know, obviously, I live in America in an area where it's wet and we'll never have wildfires here. But I do know some folks in Australia, and it's horrible right now. Like, people are losing their homes right and left. It's pretty awful. And so I'm going to put a link. I was doing a little bit of research here. I'm going to put a link into the chat. I'm going to keep talking about this a little bit just for the Australian Red Cross. If anybody would be willing to donate, I mean, I'm going to be donating a pretty hefty sum of money here. If you guys would not mind throwing some money their way just to help with that. I don't know if people realize how bad it is right now. So, any case, I just wanted to throw that out there. So again, if you're just joining us, welcome to the live stream. I am excited to be back and chatting here. I've got some videos on the horizon here that I've been trying to get out, and we've had some technical issues with the computer, and so I had to upgrade a few things. And the good news is everything is going to be upgraded. So, you know, the video quality should get better, the audio should get better. I should be able to get videos out more frequently because I'm switching to a laptop rather than running on the desktop. So again, I think everything, all parts of this should get better, but wanted to apologize for not getting some videos out here in the near or in the not too distant past here. So, guys, I wanted to, before we kind of open up and talk about Wheel of Time, I figured we could talk a little bit about some of the things I've got on the horizon that I want to, achieve here in 2020. So the first thing that I kind of made a list of all the stuff that my goals are for 2020 with the channel. First of all, I got to show you guys a little bit of the website and some of the parts that are moving there. And my goal is to have the website not only live by the middle of the year, but I want to have it mostly. We're gonna get it out in a workable fashion that won't have the wiki totally operational yet. For those of you guys who know, we're not only putting together a fan website where it'll have news, things of that nature, but we're also redoing the wiki. And the goal with that is to kind of centralize a lot of the Wheel of Time information. I'm making new maps for basically every location that you see in the books. We're going to have maps for. I finished Shadowr Logoth the other day. I'm almost completely finished with Whitebridge. Some of you guys have seen some of the other maps that we've made. And so I'm going to be putting together pretty much maps of every location that we see in the series. And then as a part of that, the next piece of that is that we're going to do a reread series. Not a reread series for those who haven't read the books before, but I'm going to be doing a visual reread of each chapter, recapping each chapter, and then what we'll do is we'll also add visuals and we'll talk about some of the foreshadowing and the context. I think it's a really fun time to do that, considering the show should be out by the end of this year too, or at least it's looking like it may be out in the end of next year. So I'm pretty excited to get that reread series out, do the visuals, have the maps. I think it'll really help people who haven't read the series like 20 times really get a feel for what the story looks like. And so I'm kind of excited to get that out. Doing peak parenting hours. I'm sorry, Big Z. Hey guys, if you are just joining the live stream and you don't mind, if you can hit the like button on the stream, it really, really helps us out with just getting things, getting YouTube to promote the video. So if you can hit the like button, that would be awesome. The other thing, I'm going to keep mentioning this. I'll put it in the chat again. I mentioned this at the very beginning. So for those of you who are joining us late, I would love to help raise some money for the Red Cross for Australia right now. The wildfires are pretty crazy. I really don't think the news is doing it justice with how bad things are there. And so for any of you that are willing to help with that, even a little bit counts. I think that giving back in any way, shape, or form is the goal of, well, at least I'll speak for myself and say that's the goal for my life, is to be able to give more than I've gotten. And there are some places in the world that could desperately use some help right now, and that's one of them. So if you guys don't mind, I did put the link in there. I'll keep mentioning that and I'll keep coming back to it. But if you guys are willing to donate a little bit to the Red Cross, that'd be great. So another couple things on the horizon here for 2020, and then we'll get into talking wheel time, guys. So I just wanted to get these out there because I know some of you ask me a lot of this stuff. One of my other goals here for 2020 is to hire a first employee for the channel. I'd like to be able to hire somebody, at least on a part-time basis, to help with a lot of different things, running the website, helping me edit, helping me write, things like that. So that's something that I don't think is too far off in the horizon, but I'm excited to get there. One other big thing, and I know this will only apply to some of you, I'm excited to meet a lot of you guys at JordanCon. I will be there. I'm going to have to leave a little bit early because I'm going on a cruise right after it, but I will be at JordanCon, and I am really, really excited to see a lot of you who are planning on being there. So that should be fun. Another goal for the channel, I want to hit 30,000 subs. We're currently sitting at about 14. I would love to get to that 30,000 number by the end of the year. I think it's possible that we can get crazy past that, but that's a goal for me. And then lastly, I want to talk about this. I wanted to get some of your feedback on this, guys. I have been doing a lot of the videos that I've been releasing lately have been pertaining to the show and news about the show. I'm thinking about condensing that into either a weekly or bi-weekly news show that I'll be doing. Just kind of creating it from the standpoint of, hold on, I'm getting phone calls. Sorry, guys. It's still kind of work hours for me, and so I'm taking calls all day from people in my business, so I apologize. But I would like to get back to doing more lore-related videos, talking about the books, talking about top 10 lists, getting into some of the what-if scenarios of what if this had happened in the story, just getting back into more of the wheel time stuff. I love talking about the show. I love doing the news updates on the show, but I'm really, I would like to talk more about the books. I guess I'll put it that way. So I'm hoping you guys want to see more of those. I'm a big fan of talking about the books. That's why I made this in the first place. And so in any case, I just wanted to throw that out there. I hope you guys, I tend to get more views. Let's put it this way. I tend to get more views when I talk about the show. So I'm doing that, but I would like to get back to doing a little bit more of the older stuff. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of that. I want to condense the news, maybe not do it as often, but maybe do one every week or two. Okay. to get there and talk about those and kind of get back into that. The other question I had, I did a Witcher review and I related it back to the Wheel of Time. I want to keep the focus on this channel all Wheel of Time. I don't really want to start getting into talking about other fantasy series. Not that they're not great. It's not the niche I want to work in. But I am curious, do you guys want me to do more of the review style things where I relate it back to the Wheel of Time? So I did the review of The Witcher as kind of an example of that. I'm curious what you guys thought of that, if that's something you'd like to see me do more of, if it's something that you think I would like to not see me do more of. So I'm curious. Okay, so I hear a good one-time thing, but not really. Because I had some people ask me to do The Mandalorian. I like doing reviews. I just don't know how much I want to do it on the channel. So yeah, what else? I mean, anybody else have a thought on that? If it had some bearing on the Wheel of Time, but not all the time. See, I'm on the same tongue. I don't want to get too much into it. I do like the idea of doing reviews, but people have been asking me to talk about other stuff, and I'm pretty strict about not doing that. So curious. You guys are telling me exactly kind of what I wanted to hear. I'm not going to do Daniel Green because Daniel Green does a great job at what he does. I don't think that I need to play that place in the. I might, Kevin. I agree with that. I think maybe I'll do it every now and then. I'll do a review if I think it's pertinent. I thought The Witcher was important to review, and the reason for that is it's the first of the next major adaptations that we get to see, and I wanted to see what we could learn from how they did it. So, like, what was successful, what wasn't, what can that tell us about Wheel of Time? And I think I do think The Witcher was a good example of that, and I think there might be some other series that would come along that I would do that, but I'm not going to get in the habit of reviewing, let's say, I'm not going to review The Office and say what Wheel of Time can learn from The Office, even though The Office is awesome. So, okay. But I am super excited about the show coming out, so I'm going to do that. I just want to tone down the show videos. I don't want to be I'm never ever going to be, and I'll make this promise to you all, whether you like it or not. I will never be the I will never be the one that's going to be the first one with a video out to about announcements. That's just not my style. I would much rather do some research, give some commentary on it, talk about what it looks like for the show and maybe where it's going, and a little speculation, things like that. So I don't feel any need to be like really, really fast in getting out content about news from the show. So I think I might be doing maybe a bi-weekly Wheel of Time news, or maybe a weekly Wheel of Time news. So I want to go not all in on that, even though those videos tend to get the most views. Believe it or not, guys, you guys watch my lore videos, but most people that are not Wheel of Time fans don't. So I get significantly fewer views when I do. I get significantly fewer views when I do lore videos, but that doesn't matter because that's what I want to do. So, okay. Hey, MK, do you mind doing some moderating? There's a couple people that are just posting ridiculous crap in the chat. If you want to get rid of them, I would appreciate it. Any case, so guys, I will try to do my best to get to some of your comments. I'll get the one that I'm going to get rid of here. Done. Okay. Goodbye. All right, got rid of one. Hey, if you don't mind, if anybody's posting ridiculous crap in the chat, let's just get rid of them. We don't need any of that. So, any case, so yeah, guys, I would, I guess I want to start with saying this. I saw the Alana casting come out and her warders, and then we've got some different shots of what some people are speculating to be Emmons Field, and I'm kind of hoping Emmons Field is not that what we saw in that picture. If any of you guys saw that, I'm going to do a video on that. Hopefully that'll get out tomorrow. But I would hope Emmons Field has a little better set design than a couple huts. That's just my thought. So we'll see. But I'm curious what you guys thought of that Alana casting. And I think the bigger issue here is not who they cast for Alana, but why they cast Alana. Okay, like why they cast Alana in the first season. And just curious what you all think of that. Fire away. I would love to hear what you all think on that. I'm hoping Alana is connected somehow to more backstory on the White Tower and possibly Logain. I'm thinking that's probably the closest thing we're going to get, or the reason for Alana. I'm hoping that's the reason, because I think they need to set up Logain more if they're going to have him as a character. It would make sense to introduce a character that we're going to see over multiple seasons. Again, I've said this before. You don't introduce characters in adaptations or in shows if it's going to be something that they're a one-off and they're gone. Like it doesn't make financial sense in a show, and so they are going to combine some smaller characters. I think Alana is one of those that they could do that for, because she is significant throughout the series. I mean, she's there. I don't want to get into super big spoilers or anything, but she's there until the very end, and so because of that, it makes sense to introduce her early. Now, how she connects necessarily with Logain, I mean, that's going to be a change. I don't think it's a bad change, but it's certainly a change. That's the only way that I think that we're going to see that for sure. You know, I guess that makes sense. I'll put it this way: that makes sense that we see Alana. I'm curious some of your thoughts. Lady Colin, I'm not even halfway through Wheel of Time, but I love your lore videos, even though I can only watch the green and yellow ones. It's amazing to have them as companions to reading the books. Keep doing them. I absolutely will. I'm going to be getting into doing, I've got a bunch of them. I've got a huge list of stuff that I want to do. So a lot of it, some of it has been some technology things here recently. Some of it has been just time. The holidays were extremely busy for me. I was rarely home. And so, but I'm going to try to get some regular stuff out here. I think I've got my schedule settled down a little bit where I should be able to squeeze in time. And I should be a little bit more mobile when it comes to being able to make videos, so I won't be as tied down to making them here at my house. And guys, again, this is a temporary background. I'm not at the place where I normally record, and so hence you get this. So no whiteboard today, sorry. So Alana was thrown in as a background character initially in the books and developed into more. It seems that they're wanting her hitting on season 1 running. I'm curious, Rasma 641. I'm curious how many times you've read the books. Because here's the thing that I learn about Robert Jordan. I think the first couple times I read the series, I assumed that he had done things early on and then changed his mind later, or decided to adapt a character more, and then ended up writing people more into a story maybe than he had initially thought. Okay. And what you learn from reading him over and over again is that straight up, there's almost nothing that Robert Jordan introduces. Like, he is so good at the foreshadowing or dropping little hints of what's to come. Like, there are characters in the story that, and I think Alana is one of them, that it may seem like she's a drop in the bucket at the beginning, but it isn't. Okay. And that's what I guess is pretty astonishing to me. And I think why this series is so rereadable. Okay. Why it over and over and over again, I can keep reading these books and feel like I'm learning something new about the characters or about the story, or little points here and there in the story that that are great. So I don't necessarily think that she's a throwaway. So, guys, I'm sorry if this is very random. One of the best Christmas presents I've ever gotten in terms of how much I've used it. My sister got me a French press coffee maker, and I am in love with this thing because I drink a lot of coffee, but this coffee's really darn good. So. Alana's president at Egwene's Raising. Her warders can be teaching Gawain and Galad. Yeah, which make warders' death more emotional. Agreed. I think that Alana can certainly be expanded as a character. I felt like she was a little bit of, I don't want to say wasted, but a little bit wasted. Oh, Thomas Walker, thank you so much, man. Appreciate that. Thank you for the donation. I think Alana could be a POV character in the White Tower, used to introduce Tower politics earlier than we see in the books. I don't think we're going to see her in the Tower. It's not that I think that's a bad idea. I think we're going to see her connected with Logain. I think here's what I think they're going to do with the Tower. I don't think that we're going to see the White Tower in season 1. Mainly for CGI reasons, for introducing new sets. I think they want to leave that reveal until the second season. So I would not be shocked if we don't see the White Tower at all in season 1. But I think we will meet Aes Sedai. So I think we could see inside the White Tower, maybe. But I don't know. I feel like I feel like Alana's role is going to be out in the world. I just don't think her as Tower politics. I think if we were going to see Tower politics, it would be a little bit more of Swan. Being the better character for that, to introduce the politics, because Alana isn't in that. Now, that's not saying that they can't rewrite her that way, but then again, why not write in Swan that way? Raider, Fankeef, appreciate that, man. Thank you for the thumbs up and the money. Do you have a question or anything? Feel free to ask away, man. You donated there, you get to talk. I'd love to hear from you. So if you want to put something in the chat, absolutely do that. But I appreciate that so much. How far do you think they'll go in season 1? Do you think Shadow or Logoth? How long do I think they're going to go in season 1? I think it will be the first book. I think we'll end in Faldara. I think the ending could be changed a little bit in the story. I think that, now, do I know that it will be? No. But if I were going to rewrite it, I would make the ending a little less confusing as to what's going on. We really don't find out what Rand was doing with the Shamael. You really don't even find out that that's a Shamael he's going against until much later, and you really don't understand what was going on. But you realize that if you go back and look at it, Rand actually learned how to skim. He traveled and skimmed in that for ending scene where he fights. He ends up going in to tell Aaron Riyadh. All of these things are not super clear when you're reading. Actually, they're not clear at all when you're reading it. You find out later. If you go back and reread it, you'll understand. So I think they could clear that ending up, but I really think in terms of how far I think they'll go, I do think it's going to be towards the end of book 1. I don't think we're going to get into book 2. But I do think the ending will change. Badger, quit your... I'm going to make you a moderator, by the way. All right. Ross, you are a... Badger, you are now a moderator in the chat, so if you can see other ridiculous people making ridiculous comments, if you don't mind kicking them out. But yeah, any case, what did you say? You said the end of the Stone. I do not think the first season is going to end at the Stone of Tyr. Not even close. I would not be shocked if that was season 2, the ending of season 2. Real quick too, I'm going to go ahead and make this plug again. I said this at the very beginning of the chat. 2 things, guys. First of all, if you can hit like on the video if you're watching right now, it very much helps YouTube recommend this. So even on these live streams, if you don't mind smashing that like button, it's real simple. And if you take the time to do it, I would appreciate it very much. The other thing that I mentioned, and I've talked about this a couple times during the live stream today, right now going on, I don't mean to step aside from Wheel of Time for a minute, but I will. There are some seriously crazy wildfires going on in Australia that are incredibly scary. Like, if you look at the size of these things, they're enormous. And I don't know that the news is doing an adequate job of helping people understand how bad things are there. Like, tons of people are losing their homes. I read something like 6.5 million animals have been killed. So, I mean, this is a crazy amount of stuff going on. And so, if you all don't mind, I'm going to put a link in the chat for the Red Cross in Australia. They're trying to relocate people right now and are desperate for some funds. If you don't mind contributing to that, or if you wouldn't mind just giving a little something, I know the people there would appreciate it, and I just want to use any small platform I have to try to help people. So I appreciate you all. But back to Wheel of Time. Okay, I'm wondering if they won't make it basically a one villain per season kind of thing. I don't think they will. I don't think and really the books aren't even one villain at a time. There are multiple people that can come across as villains throughout the story. That's actually one of the reasons that I think Wheel of Time will do really well when it's translated, because you've got Padan Fain, you've got the White Cloaks, who are essentially bad. You've got a number of Aes Sedai who are bad. You've got Elida, who's bad. You've got people that can be villains in addition to the Forsaken, in addition to, in fact, that may be my next video, because I've got that one ready, and I've got a best villains in the Wheel of Time, and I'd like talking about the villains. So I'll probably do that one, but there are a lot of villains going on. There are a lot of people who are, I don't want to necessarily, they may not be villains, but they are antagonists, if you want to put it that way. And so I am excited to see that. So I don't think it'll be one. I don't think it'll be one. I don't think it'll be one at all. I hope they don't get rid of any Forsaken. I did a video on that too, Jennifer. I really don't want them to get rid of any Forsaken either. Well, first of all, Demon Dread, you're going to be number 2 on every list. And no matter what, that's just where you are. Demon Dread is a great number 2. But I really hope they don't cut any of the Forsaken. I don't think there's a need to do it. I know there's a lot of them. I know it's a lot of characters to keep track of, but I also know this, that they can be compelling and they're spread out over a long period of time. I think it can go well. By the way, I see somebody with Elida 2020. You can get an Elida 2020 shirt down below if you want to make Randland great again. You can see that. I'm super hyped to see who they cast as Elida. Me too. I'm super excited. I love Elida. I think she's a great character, actually. She gets kind of dumb. I did a character review on her, so if you guys have not seen that video, I did a video of a character analysis on Elida, so you can see more of that. But she's one of my favorites. She's one of my favorite villains for certain. And I do think they need to nail it. I don't want it to be bad. I don't think it needs to be somebody famous at all, but it just needs to be somebody who can do the part well. Her warder would be the Wolf Brother. He would take the Elias role. Second order. That's an interesting theory, Andrew. I don't know that I necessarily totally agree with the fact that one of Alana's warders could be Elias, but that's certainly a possibility. Sigourney Weaver as Elida would be awesome. Very much awesome. Would love to see that. I feel like if they want to merge the Logain story with the boys' story, the best opportunity would be to have the battle at the end of Tarwin's Gap with him to introduce him. I really hope they don't merge the Logain story with the boys. I want, although that's an interesting thought of the way that could play out, him joining the party per se, or that would be a drastic change. I'm not sure that I'd like that drastic change, but again, I would love to see how that would play out. Brandon, I love your theory on Elida being corrupted by Fain. I never put that together before your video, but it makes so much sense. I actually think that's more than even a theory. I think it's actually canon. And the reason I say that is Fain actually says it. There's a passage from Fain's point of view. I think it's in Lord of Chaos, where he basically says that he corrupted Elida. He says it in his own mind. So I think that that's not necessarily a theory. I think it's true that he did it. And not only that, he also makes that he corrupted Pedro Nile as well. So yeah, I think a lot of you are saying yes, it does prove it, and I think it is too. I think that was pretty. They need to find a place for Lucy Lawless in the series. She'd make a great Aes Sedai. See, I love Lucy Lawless. The problem I have with Lucy Lawless, at least in my own mind, is that the two major fantasy shows that you can associate Lucy Lawless with are Xena, Warrior Princess, and then Spartacus, right? In both of those, she acts well, but they're so low production. Like, I just feel like it would be, I just don't want it to be like somebody else assuming that it's the crappy, I guess it's the crappy production values of Spartacus or Xena or just all of that. Like, she was great and I like her. I actually think she's a great actress. But yeah, I worry about that. I guess that's what I'll say. I'll worry about that. Padan Fain has amazing potential in the show. Agreed. And I think the actor playing Padan Fain has amazing potential on the show. So I'm really excited for that. Sounds like a porn star. Do you not know who Lucy Lawless is, Badger? That's funny. Damien, agree. Rome was done by HBO and BBC, and it is an excellent show. That was amazing. Rome is one of my favorite shows ever made, as a matter of fact. They only did 2 seasons of it. The second season wasn't quite as good as the first, but it was really, really good. And that was one of the first. That was one of the very first big budget TV shows. HBO spent so much money on that they actually canceled it because it wasn't that it was getting bad ratings. It's that at that time they didn't have a real way of monetizing it, and it didn't make enough money to justify how much they were spending to make it. So Rome is great, actually. Rome is a really good show. I don't know that it necessarily holds up to like Game of Thrones in terms of production value, but without Rome being what it was, Game of Thrones would never have happened. So I'll say that. So if you guys have never watched Rome on HBO, highly recommend it. It's a great show. MK, what bubbles of evil are you excited to see? Do you expect them to add different new ones? So I don't know if they're going to keep. I don't know how much they're going to make Bubbles of Evil a part of the show. I guess I'll put it that way. I don't know. I think they're important, but I think they can be done in a way that isn't so effect heavy. Like, for instance, the part where Perrin's axe tries to kill him. Like, that one could be relatively easily be done, but like CGI Rand fighting Rand and multiple Rands popping out of mirrors, an entire city sinking into the ground. Like, there's a lot of Bubbles of Evil that I think if they do them right can look really good, but I don't want them to look cheesy and stupid. And they could, if they don't shove the money into them. Like, there's a math there where you're trying to decide whether or not it's worth spending the money. Like, we've got CGI money. Is it worth spending it on that? Game of Thrones had to make that decision where there were times that they should have put Snow, or whatever his Ghost in, or whatever the heck Jon Snow's wolf was. I forget all of a sudden off the top of my head. But that wolf was entirely CGI, and they had to make some times where they had to decide whether or not they wanted to put the wolf in there just because it cost money. And so they had limited CGI budget even on that show. Thank you, Alan. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate the donation. If you have a question, ask it. So somebody had said, how about the visions the boys have of each other? How about Luce Theron's voice? How about all these things that happen just in the mind? See, that's the difficulty of adapting the show to me. I think that it's going to be very difficult. I think Luce Theron is one of those ones where they've got to figure out the right medium to make that happen, because it could come across incredibly cheesy and stupid. You have to somehow make Rand schizophrenic, but yet he doesn't necessarily see Lews Therin. So he doesn't visibly see him. So how do you make a voice that doesn't sound stupid or that doesn't seem cheesy? Like there's a part of that where I think, I guess the way I'll put it is I feel like that's a decision the showmakers are going to have. I think the easy way to adapt that would be to actually make Lews Therin an actual actor, and have him be a physical hallucination. That's the only way I can kind of think of them doing it. But then again, you could make it verbal. Like it would just be weird. Like you'd have to somehow show, Joshua would have to do a really good job of acting on his face. And I think he's going to have to do that anyway, because he's going to have to show himself being crazy. The other thing that I think is actually going to be more difficult than even that is not necessarily some of the point of views or anything like that, but I think wolf brother communication, and the way that the wolves talk back and forth with visuals, I think that has the potential to look really stupid if they don't do it right. So I'm kind of cautious about how they're going to pull that off. Whether or not we're actually going to hear the words from the wolf, or whether or not you hear Marcus say because the one way that, like when you hear people on TV talk on the phone, right? They'll repeat what the other person said as a way to communicate to you. So if I picked up the phone and I was like, "Oh, you want me to go to the store with you right now?" Like, that's one way. And I don't want them to take that route with the wolves where, where he's saying back to Hopper, "Wait, you think that I need to do this?" Like, I feel like that is just, I feel like that's kind of a cheesy way to pull it off. I just don't want it to be that weak of a mindset. And I'm sure they've got smart people that can come up with better stuff than me, but I do think that's going to be a difficulty. Okay. When do you think we'll get news on creature design? William, I'm going to come back to that one, Stubble. I'll be right back. But William Rogers, thank you so much, my friend. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate it so much. Try to get some more content out so you guys can be, I can feel justified for what you guys spend on me. I appreciate you so much. You're the man. And Stubble said, when can we get more news on creature design? Or when do you think we will? I would hope soon. I would love to see. I think one of the biggest things I'd be excited for now is to see a Trolloc and how that's going to look. And I wonder if we probably will not see that for a while, because I have a feeling they're going to they're going to do the practical effects, but they're going to touch it up with CGI. So I don't think we're going to see that for a while. Just a thought. Do I think they're going to sex up Rand and Egwene's relationship in season 1 to better establish the romance before they split up and go separate ways? No, I don't. I don't think they're going to sex them up, because I think that they want to keep the Two Rivers people as being ignorant country people that have different morals. Because I really think when you throw them in the world, that's part of the world building, is for them to realize that things look different where they're not in the Two Rivers anymore. So that would be, I don't think so. No, I don't think that. The wolf, Ross says, the wolf brother is easier to me. I would just have Perrin have a vision of the thing that the wolves are seeing, but blurry, and have a voiceover of wolf speech and see that he's kind of disoriented after it all ends. Yeah, but the wolves don't really talk, and I think having a talking wolf would look really stupid. So there's got to be, I guess it's going to have to come together visually where it looks good. That's what I think. Okay. I worry about how they're going to do the CGI to show seeing channeling weaves. You reckon it'll be changed channeling work compared to the books? No, actually, Oliver, I've talked about this in another video. I actually think this is fairly simple. And they're going to do this with perspective shots. They are going to do, like, we're going to see weaving. I think we're going to see the weaves, but you're only going to see it when you're seeing it from the point of view of channelers. Okay. And they can do that. They can accomplish that by choosing the angle that they shoot the shots from. So like where they're shooting, you can show perspective if I'm kind of shooting from behind the head of somebody who's a channeler, or And I think they can make it so that it'll look like, to people that are not channelers, like we'll have a very clear idea of when we're viewing something from the perspective of somebody that can't channel. Okay. And they can also accomplish that by showing the weaves and then cutting to another scene at the same time where it doesn't show anything. And that really explains, like, oh, some people can see this, some people can't. So I do think we'll be able to see that fairly well. Okay. Rafe had said that he really liked the idea of what they did with Doctor Strange. So I feel like we could probably see that there. Okay. We don't see the wolves talk. We just hear a voice saying fire or whatever. And I think that's possible. Ross, it's not that I don't think they can do that. I'm just excited. They're not even excited. I'm a little apprehensive, I guess is probably the better way of putting it, about how they're going to do that. Lucas Sweat, my man, thank you so much. Bran likes flashes of images where we never really know exactly what the wolves say to Perrin until he acts on it or discusses it with somebody else. So you're saying they could do it where we never actually know what the wolves are saying, and Perrin has to kind of interpret it and talk about it. I think that's one route they can take. I mean, I think that's similar to the idea of Perrin repeating back, "Is this what you're saying?" As a way to communicate to us. I think that could be one way. I just hope they don't overuse that. I don't want it to be where that's the only way that we ever understand what is being said to Perrin by the wolves. Okay. So I think there can be both. Stubble said, I think it will be cool if we see Morghese walk directly from her meeting with Logain to her meeting with Rand. I think that's interesting. I would like to see a little bit more of the royal family. It's interesting to me that we don't have an Elaine technically yet, or a Gawain or a Galad. And the other part, big spoiler here, guys. So earmuffs if you have not read all the books, but Galad is going to have to look a lot like Rand. Galad is his brother, so half brother. So there's got to be some resemblance there. Morghese, and you thought I said Morghese. Well, it's kind of the same thing, right? But yeah, I mean, Galad is going to have to look like Rand a little bit. Showing the difference in channeling is the hard part, I think. The wolves could just have voices with no talking wolf and show the wolf face and a voice in the background. Yeah, there's easy ways to do all of these things. I just don't want them to be cheesy, easy ways. Okay, so does that make sense? Like I want it to look, one of the things that Game of Thrones did really well is you never really felt in the first couple seasons that it was like cheesy fantasy. Even Lord of the Rings did a great job of not seeming like cheap fantasy. And that's because they spent a ton of money and they did but they did a lot of practical effects. Like that was what Peter Jackson did a great job with, was everybody was worried about Lord of the Rings being cheesy fantasy. I don't want to see that. A good example of this, even though I don't feel like it's a great show, Carnival Row did a pretty good job of not coming across as super cheesy. So, and that's an Amazon show. Guys, I'll tell you this. I don't know how many of you are big show bingers or anything like that, but Amazon's shows, original series, movies, anything that they make are far and away better than what Netflix does. Okay, in terms of quality, in terms of production value, all of it. It is far and away better. So we could not be in a better place. I hope a lot of you guys can understand what I'm talking about. Maybe some of you can echo what I'm saying. But if you watch a lot of Amazon originals, it's not even close. Okay, it's not even close. The quality difference between Amazon shows and everything else. Oliver Black, thank you so much, my man. If they release episodes weekly, I hope they make a Thronecast style show and you're on the panel. You deserve it. Hey, even if they don't, we're probably going to do something like that. In fact, Daniel and Daniel Green and I live very close to each other. We'll probably do something together in that regard. So I wouldn't be shocked if we do something, and who knows? We'll see. Henrique, I missed you in my YouTube feed. You do a fantastic job of us lazy Wheel of Time fans who have no time or energy to find out about the upcoming TV series. Hey, I just do a little bit of research and then put it in a video form and hopefully give my opinion with it. I'm glad you guys like it. And I'm going to try to get more, like I said, I'm going to do more of that. I was telling everybody this earlier as I was kind of going through my 2020 stuff. I'm going to be doing, I'm going to kind of condense the news videos where I'm not going to do them quite as often, and I'm just going to put more into them because I just, as much as I like doing them and as much as they get more views than anything else on my channel, I really want to get back to doing a lot of the lore-related videos that kind of got my start on here. I just enjoy that more. Lizards was Man in the High Castle good? Man in the High Castle is amazing. Great show. I'm telling you this, I don't know why it's not as hurt, but Amazon shows are way better, okay, than most of the other shows in terms of production value. And they're not always great, but they're better, okay? So, but thank you, Henrique. Thank you very much. What does my research process look like? Where do you get the news from? How do you verify rumors, etc.? So there's a couple different places. I try to pull from news articles. I will talk about things that are rumors, but I'll state that they're rumors. So until something has been confirmed, that's all I'll say it is. Now, I think sometimes there's pieces you can put together from various rumors. Like a lot of the rumors, frankly, about the Wheel of Time have been accurate. A lot of the leaks that we've gotten, we've later had verified. So that gives a little bit of credence to it. I do think there's still a lot of speculation. Again, there was a picture released of what appears to be a bunch of huts, and everybody's speculating that that was Emmons Field. I'm really hoping that's not Emmons Field, because Emmons Field is not a fly speck hut village. I mean, it's actually a village, not a, hey, we put stuff together with bamboo. It's kind of what it looks like. It was just very poorly and not very big. Emmons Field is bigger than that. So I was hoping that is not Emmons Field. Okay. Man in the High Castle had some writing issues, but the production values are exceptional. And that's typically the case from Amazon. Even if it's not super well written, it's always high production value. So I'm not at all worried about it. I actually felt like The Witcher, I talked about this in my review of it. The Witcher, I don't know what it was about it, but it just felt like a little lower quality. That's all. It just felt like it was a notch down from Lord of the Rings. Or not Lord of the Rings, I'm sorry, Game of Thrones. And so it felt a little bit like Xena. I don't mean to say it was that bad, because it wasn't, but it had that feeling a little bit. Ross, I keep having this uneasy feeling that the touching the source will be a graphic, like these speed boosts in Fast and Furious, where we see liquid flow through the car's pipes and we see sardines. I don't think that they're going to do that. I think it'll be much better than that. You typically get worried about a lot of things, so I don't think that's one of them you need to worry about. I like The Witcher, or rather Yennefer's story. I actually thought Yennefer's story was the highlight of The Witcher. And Yennefer's story, ironically, is the part of that entire series that was not canon. They essentially added all of that. Yennefer does not have that much of a background as she does in The Witcher. So I really enjoyed that part. I actually thought that was the best part of that series. And that stupid toss a coin to your Witcher song, I don't know why I can't get that out of my head. It's not even a great song, but Witcher was hit and miss for me because they overprocessed on some scenes, but not on all the scenes. And then somebody said, will the show be too woke? Gosh, I am so tired of that argument. And I don't mean to say that you're making it. No, I do not think it's going to be too quote unquote woke. I think that a lot of people that say that are the opposite of woke in themselves. Typically, I don't mean to. Look, there's one thing to be say if you're trying to force something on anybody, but I'm not going to get sucked into having the arguments about because they cast somebody that has darker skin for a character that all of a sudden they have a social agenda and social justice warriors and all. I said this in a live stream before. Basically, my input on that is if you start making comments on my channel about any type of thing that can be perceived as racist to me, I'm just done. I just can't deal with it anymore. That's my stance on it. I'm not saying you were saying that. I'm just saying that tends to follow with that argument. So I did, Christian. I actually posted in the Discord server the heavy metal version of Toss a Coin to Your Witcher. It's kind of funny. I saw that. By the way, I'll make this pitch. If you guys are not members of the Discord community here with the channel, hop in and get in it. The link is in the description below. Discord is a great place. Like, we get to talk about the Wheel of Time all the time. I'm a super big part of that. I like to be active there. So I think all of you should hop in the Discord. Click the link below. Even if you have no idea how to work Discord, it's easy. Just click the link. It'll tell you how to do it. You'll join the chat and you'll figure it out. It's real easy. So, yeah. And Sandra, first of all, to be clear, I was absolutely not accusing you of it. I don't mean that. Just means typically when somebody brings up whether or not the show will be woke, inevitably I get 50 other people coming in and telling me how every darker actor or actress is going to totally ruin the series, and I'm done having those conversations. Okay, so anyways, did anybody see Shaka Zulu, an amazing TV show? That's how I imagine that. I have not seen that. I'll write that down and check it out. I'm excited to see how the Aiel are going to be portrayed. I really am. I'm very, very excited for that. The Aiel to me are one of the most interesting fantasy cultures, if you will. Like, they've got a very established lore about them, and so I really want to see them. I really want to see them work out. I guess I'll put it that way. Hey guys, let's. I hate to quash the conversation, but we've rehashed this on the channel over and over and over again, and I'm done with it. I don't want to talk about how woke or not woke the show will be. I don't want to talk about whether or not dark actors are better than. I'm done with that conversation. It will be what it is. We've rehashed it enough. I'm sick of talking about it, and yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at. Okay, so yeah, and agreed, Bobby Owen. Who cares what they look like if they can act? That's the question. And I'm with you there. That's my stance on it. I'm going to judge them on the quality of their work. I could care less about what they look like. So, Shaka Zulu is based on the African tribes. It's a real life story. It was made by the BBC many, many years ago. I'll definitely check that out. The Aiel are something I want them to get right. I want them to get the Aiel right in terms of tone, in terms of the culture of the Aiel, because I think it's such a big part of the world building for Wheel of Time that it's exciting for me to see it. Okay, so I'm super excited for that. Hey, real quick other plug here while I got everybody here. I am going to link again in the description here the link to the Red Cross for Australia. For those of you who are not aware or may only be casually aware, there's some pretty crazy wildfires going on in Australia right now that are like devastatingly bad. The news is downplaying how bad it actually is. And so anybody that can help with that, the better. Okay. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Never liked the Aiel. I always thought that Jiito was basically a transactional thinking, morality defined by accountants. So it's interesting. I'll put it this way. I don't necessarily agree with the Aiel way of thinking because it is very transactional, but it's also, there's something cool about that transaction in the sense that it's an emotional transaction. Like, if I wronged you, I atone for it through my toe, but then once it's gone, it's gone. Okay. So I would, I guess I'll put it this way. I like the Aiel way of thinking in the sense that I don't necessarily think I would ascribe to that lifestyle, but I think it's very interesting from a fantasy story point of view. I love watching the the history of the Aiel and how they became what they are. I just find that it's one of the themes that Robert Jordan had that he approached the Wheel of Time with. If you hear some of his interviews, he talks about this. He says that stories, as they get passed down, get changed. It's basically a giant game of telephone over history. And so I think watching what happens with the Aiel, about how they start from these peaceful servants to the Aes Sedai to becoming what they are, and the traditions that they get through that process, I love seeing that. I guess I'll put it that way. I like seeing that. Now, again, does that mean I agree with the Aiel lifestyle? No, but I think it's interesting to watch. Put it that way. So the Aiel were amazing. They fit the role and story they are meant to tell, to help explain the past, one perspective, whilst providing great dialogue between the main characters. Yeah. And I like that they are a people on of themselves, and they have their own way of viewing things. And I love some of the funniest moments, I think, in the series are where the cultures don't mix. And I just find that interesting. Persephone Samuels, thank you so much. I appreciate it, man. What are you most excited for or hope to see on screen that they only talk about in the books? For instance, Logain's capture. It's a good one. What are you saying? Basically, what happens off screen in the books that we don't get to see that I want to see? I think that would be. I would like to see more of the Forsaken, so I'll say that. I want to see more of the interactions between the Forsaken, maybe how they get in, where they're at, some things like that. I definitely would like to see Logain's capture, and I think we will see that. I think we're going to see Logain stilled, is what I think we're going to see. Because the reason I say that is Rafe mentions that when the first scene that they filmed with Logain made him cry, and I think that's the only one that I can think of that would do that at the very beginning. So, yeah, I think that's probably where I would sit. Okay. I don't know where I read it, but I heard someone wanted the Shan-Chan to have a Texas accent. What do you think of that? I got a little discouraged by it. So, Henrique, actually, that's a Robert Jordan thing. Robert Jordan described the Shan-Chan as having a Texas accent. That's from his words, out of his mouth. Do I want them to do that in the show? No. I think it would look ridiculous. But that's what he said. That's where that comes from. So in case you're hearing that from anywhere, Robert Jordan was the one that said that. Now, I don't want that to happen. I think that would look dumb. But when you hear in the audiobooks, when you hear them trying to slur it, that's their way of doing that. But that's a Robert Jordan Shan-Chan. I want there to be fear and horror in this fantasy show that will set aside from other shows, and I think we will. Eye of the World is a horror story. It straight up is. It's a horror chase story, and it's pretty crazy, in my opinion, how bad it could be. I think what we are going to see is generic English accents is what I think we're going to see. I think we could see the Shan-Chan as American accents. Like, I think they could make that theme because really everybody they've cast has a British accent. And so far we haven't seen any Shan-Chan, so maybe they will cast Americans as the Shan-Chan. It's very possible. I mean, Robert Jordan very deliberately wrote the Shan-Chan to kind of appear to be America, right? Like thematically even. They were people that left the old world, went and conquered a new world, and then kind of came back and tried to exert their culture on everybody else. Tell me that's not American compared to Europe. So it's not a coincidence to me that most of the country or the nations that Robert Jordan wrote about in the Westlands have European themes or even Asian themes for it. So I think the Shan-Chan were very deliberately meant to be America. which, by the way, also had slaves, which is exact. I mean, it's just, that's what it is. So. Okay, so let me read. Didn't Jordan give out a list of accents in relation to the peoples of the books? He kind of did. He said a couple of them. The main thing that he did release is he talked about, this was in an interview, he talked about not that he modeled these cultures after specific European countries or anything like that, but what he did do was he talked about some of the themes that he drew from them. So, for instance, the Tyrans are very Spanish in origin. Okay, the Kyrianan are very French. Andor is kind of like England. You've got the borderland countries are very Asian in style. Like these were themes that he used. Now they're not. It's not like he wrote them to be exactly that. So it's not a caricature of those cultures. It's just that he did use that as kind of a basis. And so you get, I mean, you can even see it in the way that they dress and the way that they talk and all those things. So that's there a little bit, but I wouldn't hold to that in the sense that it's like, stickler for, oh my gosh, they don't sound French, these can't be Kyrianan. Like that's no. Okay. I would love to keep the language wordplay that RJ used in the books for some countries, most notably Ilian, Baal Doman style. I think that could work on screen too. I agree. I think if you make them sort of pirates, like Dutch pirates, I could see it happening. It's kind of interesting because that entire pirate accent, which is sort of what the Ilianers are based on, it's all from that pirate movie. I think it's like, what is it? Treasure Island, the movie, and they just randomly made that accent up, and that's now what people associate with pirates. So Brandon Sanderson just tweeted something about Wheel of Time. Well, let's look it up. We'll live read it here if there is something. I'm gonna look it up. Ooh, okay. So he is doing an interview. It doesn't have much to it. He's doing an interview. Not much there. Okay, not much there. All it is right now, it's a tweet from Brandon Sanderson saying that the people from Wheel of Time on Prime dropped in for a bit to chat about the Wheel of Time Season 1 and some of his other projects. That's it. So not too much there yet. I'm sure there will be more to come, but that's still exciting. Still exciting. Well, hey guys, I am going to end the live stream here. I'm going to kind of wrap things up here. I should be back at it with a video tomorrow because I have some new equipment that I will be able to actually make videos with. So that will be great. And hopefully there should be an upgrade in quality of all sorts. So I love how I started the live stream and it was light out and now it's dark. So, hey, that means it's probably time to be done. But again, guys, thank you for joining us. I'm going to post the link in the chat again for the Red Cross. If any of you are willing to donate to that, I think it's a great way to help the people dealing with the wildfires in Australia. So, hey guys, thank you for tuning in. Subscribe to the hop in the Discord if you want to be a part of what we do. Subscribe to the Patreon if you want to support what we're doing here with the channel. That's going to go a long way to helping hire some folks to help out. And then also check out the Audible link if you want to get a free audiobook or 2 audiobooks, I think, or Skillshare. Those links also support the channel and you get free stuff. So I think it's always great. But thanks for tuning in, everybody. Peace out.